If you're just getting started, headphones might be the way to go, especially if budget is a primary factor. They're affordable, they're consistent, and they don't require any acoustic treatment in order to be useful. But there's a difference between a typical pair of consumer headphones and a pair of reference headphones. Reference headphones are designed to give you a flat, accurate representation of the audio, meaning what goes in is what comes out. In other words, the headphones do their best to get out of the way and allow you to hear your music as it actually is. Too often, consumer headphones are designed to hype the bass or to somehow make the sound more exciting by altering the frequency balance. But that's probably not what you want from music production. The effect that a pair of headphones has on the frequency balance of signals passing through them is called its frequency response, and the goal of a pair of reference headphones, like the Adam H200s, is typically to provide a relatively flat frequency response. But when you're shopping for headphones with the intention of producing music, be aware that frequency response specifications can be kind of misleading. As an example, look at the technical specifications for this pair of consumer headphones. Now, I won't mention the name of these headphones, but the stated frequency response is 4 Hz to 40 kHz. Meanwhile, the Adam H200 reference headphones have a frequency response spec of 2 Hz to 23.5 kHz. You might look at these two specifications and conclude that the consumer headphones can actually cover a wider range of frequencies than the reference headphones. However, just because a pair of headphones can produce a wide range of frequencies doesn't mean it can maintain even balance throughout that range. When you take a closer look at the Adam H200 spec, you see that Adam has included what is known as a tolerance for the frequency response. This tolerance tells us that the headphones can produce frequencies between 2 Hz and 23.5 kHz while maintaining only a -3 decibel variation relative to 1 kHz. Tolerance is a very important spec when it comes to frequency response, and in my opinion, if a tolerance is not listed, the spec is basically meaningless. So it's definitely something to look out for when you're making comparisons between one pair of headphones and another. And while we're on the topic of frequency response in headphones, I think it's also important to mention that different headphone manufacturers have different target frequency response curves. The more research I do into this topic, the more I realize that measuring the frequency response of headphones isn't as straightforward as you might think. The material of the ear pads, the positioning on the head, and the seal around the ear all impact the frequency balance that will be perceived by the listener. And while some companies may target the sound of a particular speaker in a treated room, others may target their own proprietary response curve. Over the years, several tools have been developed that attempt to correct the variations of unique headphone models and return them to flat frequency response using EQ. One popular option is SonarWorks Sound ID Reference. I could instead use the headphone utility plugin that comes with the Adam H200s and achieve a similar goal. In this case, I select the earpad material, and the plugin applies an EQ curve based on their own measurements. And here at the bottom, you can see that the target curve can be pure, based on Adam's flagship studio monitors in a treated room, or UNR, based on some of Adam's legacy studio monitors. Without getting too deep into the specifics, I just want you to be aware that no pair of headphone is objectively flat. In practice, we choose a pair of headphones, and whether we use correction tools or not, we practice a lot with the same pair of headphones until we understand how they sound. Next, we're moving on to levels 2 through 5, which include studio monitors. But keep in mind that headphones will always serve a purpose in your studio, even in these higher levels. Headphones can be used anywhere, they offer isolation benefits, and of course, they help us gauge how our mixes will translate to headphones.